Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. This morning it is July 2nd, 2024, and we are looking at, Proverbs chapter 2. You know, yesterday I shared with you that I was struggling, and it took me so long to get on. And part of it, quite honestly, was because I was struggling, and my heart was having to be renewed and lifted up and corrected. And I had put the prayer call out on Facebook, and I had asked for people to start praying. And I felt those prayers. And that was what was made it so that I could get out of myself and serve the Lord. But it's funny, I've noticed over the years, I put a prayer request out, I'm vulnerable, and inevitably, there's always a few that think they need to teach me a thing or two instead of loving me enough to share with me and pray for me. I reached out and I said, I need prayer. I'm hurting. I'm worried. I'm disappointed. Please pray that God gives guidance and direction. I know that what's happening is right. I just need to get through this. In my spirit, not God's spirit, I was broken. So many of you lifted me up and you prayed for me and you asked God to give me guidance and direction, and quite honestly, I don't have the answer yet. But the sense of peace that answer would come, and if I needed to go to Sturgis this year, he'd make a way, and the time is short. If he needs me to be in Arkansas in September, he'll make a way. Time is short. The revenue stream that I was counting on covering the gas for that, it's gone, but that doesn't mean that he's not the provider. And I knew all those things. I just needed to get my head straight. I needed to get my spirit in line with his spirit, and I knew that the prayers of the saints would help align me. And so I asked for that. And yet, like always, I had a few that reached out and said, you know, that revenue stream wasn't your provision in the first place. Although it really was the provision God gave me for a season. And I knew that. And when its season is up, I know that it's time for God to come up with a new plan, right? I had another tell me that, you know, I needed to rely more on God. Here's my challenge for you today. If somebody asked for prayer, they probably don't need teaching in the moment. What they need is prayer. I often forget that because I'm a shepherd. And so I want to teach you what is right. But the reality is, that's not what you're asking for. Did you ever realize that when you go to God and you ask for something, the first thing he does is examine whether you actually need that or not? So let me ask you a question. If somebody comes to you and asks for prayer so that they can get in line with God, do you think they need that? Or do they need to be told that what they're thinking is wrong? Because they already know what they're thinking is wrong. That's why they've asked for prayer to get in line with God. Right? Today, we're looking at Proverbs chapter 2, verses 6 through 9. The Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He stores up success for the upright. He is a shield for those who live with integrity, so that he may guard the paths of justice and protect the way of his loyal followers. Then you will understand righteousness and justice. It's the Lord that gives wisdom, and from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Guys, I know that it's easy to tell people what they need to do. God is the one that gives wisdom and knowledge. It's from his mouth. If somebody comes to you and asks you what the Bible says about a situation, they're looking for teaching. If they come to you and say, I need to get in line with God, can you pray for me? They're asking for you to pray for them to get in line with God. We need to be servants to all, not teachers to all. Guys, I appreciate every prayer I got yesterday. And even the few that wanted to teach me something, I know that their heart was right because they saw the anguish and they wanted to fix it. I know that because I'm codependent too, and I want to fix things as well. But the reality is the answer comes from God. If the request is in line with God's will, and God's will is to go to him, then we should do that. If the request is in line with God's will, they come to you and say, hey, biblically, what should I do with this? They're looking for teaching. If the request is for provision, and it's within your means, that's in the word too. You should give provision, right? So recognize that that's the truth. And in the meantime, pray that you will hear God as he speaks to you. Read Proverbs chapter 2, verses 1 through 9 again today and see what God's saying to you. I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.